If you want to accelerate your success professionally and catapult yourself to new levels of influence in your career, then the number one most important skill you must develop and master is your ability to speak to another individual, a small team, or a large group so that you can move those people to tap into more of their fullest potential, to join you, to follow you, to partner with you. Whatever it is that you're trying to get accomplished, when you can speak with power and strength and persuasion, you absolutely increase your chances significantly of creating the results you want. And in this video, I'm going to help you to understand what's at the core of your power and your ability to speak so that other people are moved to take action, to think differently, to follow you, to believe in you, whatever it is you're trying to accomplish with your message. I know for certain that if you develop your ability to speak with power, you'll absolutely break through barriers and move forward even faster towards the goals that you want to accomplish and the dreams and visions that you want to turn into reality. My name's JJ Peller. I'm the author of the book, Attract Your Potential, Become the Best Version of Yourself and Achieve Your Biggest Goals Faster. The purpose of this channel is to help you tap into your greatest potential, thrive in every area of your life, and do the things that you're here to do in the biggest possible ways to serve your purpose, to fulfill your mission, and to use your gifts and your talents to truly bless and help other people along your journey. So let's get in, because the problem, by the way, that most people run into is when they're looking at the question of like, how can I speak with greater power and persuasion and influence, they often ask the wrong question. And let me know if this is a question that you have started with in the past or typically start with when trying to figure out how can I be a better speaker or a more powerful and impactful and influential speaker. Most people ask the question, what should I say? What should I say? What are the words that I should use? What are the words that I should use is essentially what they're asking. And have you ever found yourself in this situation with a loved one, someone you care about? You find that they're mad at you. They seem a little upset for some reason, but you can't figure out why. And you look at them and you say, what's wrong? What's going on? Like, what? I didn't say anything wrong. And you're begging, you're pleading, you're like, I don't understand, but I didn't say anything wrong. And they turn to you, and this person, the loved one, the person you care about, says, it's not what you said, it's how you said it. Have you ever been there? You ever experienced that? Well, it's not just in relationships, intimate relationships, or close personal relationships that this idea, concept matters or makes a difference. It's when you're speaking to a small team that you're leading, or you're speaking to potential clients or to people that you truly just want to move and inspire and get your message across to. It's not what you say, it's how you say it. I'm going to prove it to you right here in this video as we move into it. So the thing that most people ask is, what should I say? And what they're really asking is, what are the words that I should use? Now, what's interesting about this, and by the way, I'll share with you exactly what this diagram is in a split second, but what you have to understand is there was this incredible research done that just blows my mind that was done back in the 1960s by Dr. Morabian, who did this study, this research at UCLA. And basically what he wanted to know was, what are the different components and the weightings of those components for someone's ability, an individual's ability to communicate feelings to another human? And so some people have looked at this study, and I'm going to share the results of this study because this will be the core of how you tap into more of your power as a speaker and a communicator. But some people look at the study and like, well, that's only about communicating feelings. That doesn't really apply to all communication. And my question becomes, what is communication other than getting people to feel a certain way? Because at the end of the day, whether you're trying to sell a vehicle or get someone to join your team or to become friends with you or want to be a connection or help you or support you, whatever it is that you want to persuade someone to do or influence or move someone to do with your words, what are you really trying to do? You're getting them to believe in you and your ideas and your message. And the best way to do this is to move people with emotion and in their emotions and with their feelings. Because as they say, and it has become cliche, and it's cliche for a reason because it's so true and it's proven again and again and again, people do not buy with information or with logic. People buy with emotion. People make decisions based on emotion. They convince themselves then with the logic. Now, you might say, but there's people out there that I've met, they're very logical. They have spreadsheets. They look at the numbers, blah, blah, blah. Yes. They've already made the decision emotionally, even at the subconscious, unconscious level. But what they're trying to do is get themselves to understand it from a dollars and cents or numbers or pros and cons standpoint. but people make decisions emotionally and then they convince themselves with the logic. And so here's what I want you to understand is in Dr. Morabian's study, he said there are 3 different major components to communicating feelings from one person to the next. And the first of those 3 are words, W-O-R-D-S. Words, because this is back to the question that we started with, which is, what's the thing most people say when they're trying to figure out how can I speak with more power and persuasion and influence? What should I say? But we already kind of debunked this when we looked at that situation of a personal, intimate relationship where someone says it's not what you said, it's how you said it. So what they're essentially saying is it's not the words you used that made a difference. It's not the words you used. And I'm going to prove it to you because in his study, in Dr. Morabian's study in the 1960s, as he did the weightings of these 3 different components of how you communicate feelings from one human to the next, do you know what percentage he found words to be? What percentage in terms of a weighting that words play in communicating feelings from one human to the next? What do you guess? Before I get here, see if you can put it in the comments or just in your head. What do you guess the percent weighting is? Ready? 7%. 7% of your ability to communicate feelings to another human being are based on the words that you use. Now, do words matter? Yes, absolutely. I believe words matter because words can get someone to fall in love with you, or words could get someone to want to punch you right in the face, and everything in between. So I'm not saying words don't matter, but if you truly want to figure out how to be a powerful, persuasive speaker, you got to understand that words are only a tiny fraction of your ability to powerfully speak and communicate a message to another person. So then the question becomes, okay, what are the other 2? And I'm going to give these to you, and then we're going to look at the percentages. So the second one, oh, by the way, I should tell you what this diagram is. This is an iceberg, and in a second, you'll understand why I'm using an iceberg as a metaphor for your power source in being a persuasive, effective speaker and communicator, because the other 2 are tonality, or basically your voice quality, intensity, pace, volume, pitch, all of these aspects of the quality, intensity, and intensities of your voice and your tonality. And then there's this, and by the way, how many people have you ever been persuaded by who are completely monotone and just talk at the same one level every time? No change in volume, no change in pitch, no change in pace, just all the same. You moved by those people? Me neither. They put me to sleep. That's why tonality matters, and I'll tell you in a second how much it matters. The third component of the weighting here, or the third component taken into consideration is physiology. And I believe in the study specifically, physiology meaning like how you move your body, and face. And specifically, I believe in the study they looked at facial expressions. So how does someone express feeling through using their face? And for most people in the world, at least in the United States, the face is the most underutilized real estate or aspect of someone's ability to powerfully and persuasively communicate a message to another human. Because most people, they don't use their face at all. They just kind of talk to you, blah, 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 and they go on. You're like, I can hear you, but I can't tell if you're actually alive. We have an opportunity to use our face more. I'm not saying you got to be kind of crazy out there with your face and just make all these crazy faces like I do with my kiddos, and we just have fun making crazy faces. But I am suggesting there is a place for facial expression, or expressing how you feel or the feelings you want to get across to another person with your face. And by the way, in a second I'll explain like how does this actually happen in humans, because that's an important thing to understand and grasp. So this information isn't just information, but stuff you're like, that makes sense, I'm going to use it, and I feel that I can be a more powerful speaker and communicator by tapping into these aspects. So I'll explain that here in a second. But before we get there, and before I share the percentages, no, I guess I got to both of them. Tonality, physiology. Oh, by the way, let's also realize that physiology is not just your face. It's how you move your body, how to use your hands. What's the position you stand in when you're interacting or communicating a message? You just stand in the same place the whole time. I heard somebody one time say, people think they have to move all over the stage to actually like be a good speaker, but you could just stand in one spot and not move your arms at all and really be a great speaker. And I'm like, you're going to be great at putting me to sleep. And the best speakers I've ever witnessed on the face of the planet, whether they're someone speaking to a small group or speaking on a stage in front of hundreds or thousands of people, those people don't stand in one place and put their arms at their side and just talk to you like this the whole entire time. And so my point is, regardless of the research that's ever been done, let's look into our own reality and watch people who are incredible, that we perceive as incredible and powerful and effective at what they do, and let's understand that's a great person to model for how we want to be effective. So like, think about it this way. Have you ever watched someone speak from stage and they stood still the whole entire time, didn't move anywhere, kept their arms at their side, and just spoke to you like this the entire time, and you were completely emotionally moved by that person, got fired up and excited, and felt moved to actually take action? Did that person move you to take action, yes or no? If the answer is yes, then this video might not be for you, but if the answer is no, then keep listening, because this matters. The people that have moved you most when they've spoken to you are people that are alive and vibrant with the way they use their body and their hands and their arms and their entire physiology and their facial expressions. Whether you've consciously realized it to this point or not, your brain responds to how other people show up in the world. And here's why, and again, I'll give you the percentages in a second. This might blow your mind, even though you kind of get a sense, if you're doing math at home, what it's going to add up to. But we are wired to experience the feelings of other people. It's called emotional contagion. And part of the reason we have emotional contagion is we have something in our brains, or happening in our brains, called mirror neurons. And mirror neurons simply are neurons that fire in our brains when we observe someone doing a simple act that we already know how to do. So basically, like, if I were to set this pen on a table right here, and you're sitting across from me also with a pen, or even without a pen in front of you, as I reach for that pen and I grab it, the same neurons in your brain will fire as if you were actually reaching for and grabbing that pen. Now, you don't even have to actually reach for a pen and grab it for those neurons to fire. And here's the crazy thing. When we see other people making facial expressions or body language, we then feel those emotions because we feel that movement, because we feel or have the neurons fire in our brains as if that's actually happening. And to give you another example, there's a great book called Social by Matthew Lieberman, and he and his team of researchers found that humans actually feel social pain. And what they found was, if someone's actually punched in the arm or feels physical pain, the same parts of their brain activate as if they're socially rejected. So like when you're embarrassed or you feel rejected by another person, you actually are having the same parts of your brain fire or activate as if you feel physical pain, as if someone actually just slapped you across the face. So my point is, we feel feelings from other people based on how we're treated and how we interact and what we see people do. So all of this to say, why would you not take full advantage of how we're wired as humans to be able to persuade and move people with power and strength in how you speak and how you communicate? And so now let's look at the percentages. If you're doing math at home, I'll let you do the math at home, but I'll add it up in a dramatic fashion in a second. But when we look at tonality, or when the research by Dr. Morabian looked at tonality, they found that it does, any guess on the percentage? 35%. Actually, hold on. 38%. I apologize. 38% of the weighting is in tonality. And if you're doing math at home, you realize that the final piece is 55%. So when you look at tonality combined with physiology or facial expressions, and you add these numbers together, you don't even have to do the math, but looking at 100% minus 7% gets us 93%. And I like to call this, catch this, the 93% of effective, powerful communication. So my point here is this. Just like an iceberg, now I'm finally getting to the metaphor, just like an iceberg, and I looked it up just recently, an iceberg shows typically about 10% of its mass above the surface of the water. And about 90%, if you're doing the math, is below the surface of the water and is not visible. And most of us think so much about the words, but it is just literally the tip of the iceberg. And if you want incredible strength and power in how you speak and communicate so that you move people emotionally, so they take action, so they move forward, so they join your team, so they follow you, so they do whatever, so they feel like they can tap into their greatest strength and power as an individual, then you've got to be focused on tonality. You've got to be focused on physiology and your facial expressions. I know for certain that if you start to realize that there's a quality to your voice, there's a way you can move your body and use your face to move people, and you literally just start to intentionally think about this anytime you're going to present or speak to one other person or a small team or a group, if you just start to think about this, you'll start to move in the direction of leveraging these ideas. And again, I said it earlier, but let me highlight for you, the fastest way to get better at this is to find people you admire who are doing this, who are performing at the highest levels as a speaker. Watch what that person does. Listen to that person's voice. What's the tonality? What's the pace? What's the pitch? What's the volume? How are those people moving their voices to capture your attention, to move you emotionally? And then how are they using their face? How are they using their body, their physiology? Because as soon as you realize that it's not just the words, because words matter, but it's only 7%. But the power base, everything below the surface of the water, the 93% is what moves people. And if you want to become a powerful persuader, someone that speaks so that people listen and then take action, which, by the way, is the key skill for anyone that wants to be a person of influence, a leader, an entrepreneur, someone that's on a mission to do something incredible with your life, you're going to have to draw and attract more of the right people to you, and you can do this by becoming a powerful public speaker. Again, public could be in front of one other person giving a presentation or a pitch, or speaking to a small team or a large group. It does not matter. Start to develop your skills and your ability to use tonality and facial expressions and physiology to actually move people so that they feel something when you speak, and they will remember you. They will be moved by you. You will stand out. Do you know how many people today speak with no emotion, with no energy, with no facial expressions, with no body language? They just go through the motions. Look, it's getting easier and easier to stand out. And one way you can stand out in the marketplace, from the crowd, get apart from all of the noise, is to be a person who speaks with confidence and conviction and power. And you can do it with this strategy by realizing it's the 93% that moves people. It's your tonality, it's your facial expressions, it's the way you use your body. And as soon as you recognize this and start to implement it into your life, friend, you can do incredible things. Like, I'm telling you, you will stand out. You will get more opportunities than other people. You will be the go-to person that people want to follow. Because do you know what else is lacking in our culture today, in the world today, at least in the United States? Enthusiasm, excitement, passion, aliveness, belief, hope, and a bigger, better, brighter future. And by the way, if you're the kind of person that's like, man, I don't know about all this stuff, JJ. It kind of sounds decent, but it's just like, that's a lot of intensity. It's a lot of stuff I'm going to have to do. Do you know what will shift in you when you start to speak with better tonality and more physiology and facial expressions? Like, if you move in a way that would make you feel excited, you'll feel excited. Like, watch people who move with excitement and enthusiasm. Listen to people that speak with passion and aliveness. And when you start to speak like those people, when you start to move like those people, you will start to feel the emotions of those people. You'll start to feel the passion, the aliveness, the enthusiasm. The energy will come alive inside of you. And if you can let that energy come alive inside of you, you can become an unstoppable force for good in the world. You can tap into more of the fullness of who you were created to be. And when you tap into more of the fullness of who you were created to be, friend, anything becomes possible. You will become a magnet to people. People will want to be around you. They'll be drawn to you. They'll be moved by you. They'll want to join you. They'll want to be a part of whatever you are doing. They'll want to support you. They'll want to make connections for you. They'll want to promote you. I'm just telling you right now, if you develop the skill of powerful public speaking using these concepts, you can absolutely accelerate your success in everything you do professionally. You can catapult yourself in your career, and you can start to have breakthroughs that you never imagined possible. Friend, let me encourage you with one last thing. Dream bigger than you've ever dreamed before, because dreams are the seedlings of reality. The vision you have for your life will start to mold and shape your mind. It'll mold and shape the way you show up and act and behave and interact with other people. And if you choose to show up with greater passion and aliveness, and you communicate with that aliveness, with that passion, with that enthusiasm, game over. You will do some incredible things with your life, friend. I hope and pray that you go after your greatest potential, that whatever challenges and struggles and adversities and frustrations you are going through today, you refuse to settle for anything less than your greatest potential. You refuse to be stopped by whatever's in front of you, and you just persist and keep going, because the people that do the greatest things on this planet are the people that pass the persistence test. In the book Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill, he says everyone who does something great with their life must pass the persistence test. So friend, if you're going through the stuff of life right now, persist, refuse to quit, don't give up, just keep going, and great things can happen, friend. I hope you'll come back for more videos. If this encouraged you, please share it with a friend who could also benefit from the encouragement, from the concepts of how to become a powerful public speaker, and I'll see you in the next video.